This first-year guard can shoot it from anywhere, leading all rookies in points and assists, and the leader in fan voting for All-Star. From the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark.
There's a storm brewing in the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark stands right in the eye of it. One moment, she's draining jaw-dropping threes from near half-court, fueling her team's comeback. The next, she's sprawled on the floor after yet another questionable no call. Critics say this is just the standard rookie treatment that every new star faces, but fans aren't buying it. From bizarre technicals to flat-out dangerous collisions, Clark's first year has sparked a debate that refuses to die. Is Caitlin Clark being singled out by the refs, or is the WNBA's officiating simply out of control? Before we unravel the controversy, let's acknowledge why Caitlin Clark's officiating saga has become such a hot topic. Coming off a legendary college career, she exploded onto the pro scene with the kind of hype reserved for generational talents. Her uncanny court vision, off-the-charts shooting range, and fierce competitiveness instantly made her a must-watch player. Everywhere she went, arenas sold out, jerseys flew off the shelves, and social media lit up with highlight after highlight. But as soon as the season tipped off, Clark discovered that her star power brought heavier expectations and far more scrutiny. Opposing teams started playing her extra physical from the start, some to test her resilience, others to rattle her confidence. Normally, referees rein in defenders if the contact gets excessive. Yet, in Clark's case, it often felt like the standard whistle was on a permanent delay. Even the mildest bit of frustration on her end seemed to draw a technical, while blatant hits from defenders were routinely ignored. Fans took notice immediately. Was this just how the league handles rookies who enter with big reputations, or was there something else going on? One argument says that rookies never get superstar treatment, even if they come in as NCAA legends. Another theory claims that Clark's massive hype has triggered a bizarre backlash, one where refs almost overcompensate by refusing to give her any break. Whether purposeful or not, the numbers don't lie. The calls haven't been going her way, and each game adds more evidence to this growing conspiracy. It didn't take long for the first glaring no call to happen. During one of Clark's earliest games, fans witnessed her take a hard screen that nearly knocked her off her feet. A moment of stunned silence fell over the arena. Surely the refs would whistle for an offensive foul, but to everyone's surprise, nothing happened. No whistle, no stoppage, nothing. Even the commentators hesitated, seemingly unsure if they'd missed a sign from the officials. Social media erupted. One side insisted, "It's a legal screen, that's basketball." The other side questioned whether the league was trying to send a message. Caitlin Clark wouldn't be getting any special treatment, but was this really a matter of no special treatment? Or had the needle swung too far in the other direction, denying her calls that any other player, rookie or veteran, would ordinarily receive? That moment was the first clue that something felt off. Then came another game, another incident. This time, Clark was hit square in the face while driving to the basket. Fans, media, and even opposing players waited for a flagrant foul to be assessed. But once again, the officials looked the other way. With each additional no call, the frustration mounted, feeding a narrative that Clark was fair game for rough play. The question lingered: why was one of the league's most promising stars not being protected? The no calls were bad enough, but what really set the internet ablaze were the technicals Caitlin Clark started receiving for reasons most people deemed absurd. Take the widely circulated clip where she lightly tapped the backboard after missing. A three-pointer, an innocent release of frustration. To her utter shock, whistle, technical foul. The official explanation? Allegedly disrespecting the game. Immediately, fans pointed out that other players often slam the padding under the basket, pound the floor, or gesture in frustration without consequence. Why was Clark singled out for such a minor expression of emotion? This wasn't an isolated incident either. On more than one occasion, Clark drew quick technicals for reacting to hard fouls or even for celebrating big shots too enthusiastically. Critics fired back, accusing her of showboating or working the refs. But supporters called foul on what they saw as a disturbing double standard. If veterans can trash talk and pull stunts with no repercussions, then penalizing Clark sends a hypocritical message. Clark herself tried to downplay the drama, often dismissing these calls as part of the learning curve. Yet, each tee added fuel to a growing fire, leaving fans to wonder if the officiating crew had a personal vendetta. The WNBA remained quiet, content to let speculation run wild. And run wild it did. In no time at all, every hard screen, every collision, every questionable call was analyzed and dissected, each piece seeming to confirm the suspicion that Clark was under a different set of rules. Perhaps even more concerning than the questionable technicals are the rough hits Clark has endured without so much as a single whistle in her favor. Over the season, we've seen her tank a shoulder to the chest, absorb an elbow to the face, and slam to the court after heavy contact, only to have the refs motion for play to continue. In one particularly shocking example, an opposing player bulldozed into Clark with such force that the entire arena gasped. Normally, in any pro league, that kind of contact leads to a flagrant, or at least a thorough review. Instead, the call was chalked up as a common foul, leaving fans absolutely livid. People flooded social media with clips, pausing and rewinding to show exactly how dangerous the collision was. Yet the officiating crew seemed unfazed, and the game went on. Player safety became the new buzzword. How many times could Clark be sent crashing to the hardwood before the league stepped in? Fans worried that these repeated hits could lead to injuries that might derail her rookie season or even her long-term career. Even more concerning was the perception that the refs were not only allowing such hits, but occasionally punishing Clark's response more severely than the initial foul. The bigger Clark's fan base grows, the louder the calls become for the WNBA to address the situation. Some fans believe that because she arrived with such massive hype, from her record-breaking performances in college to instant stardom at the pro level, the league wants to ground her momentum just enough to show that no player is bigger than the game. It's a conspiracy theory, sure, but it's gained traction. When the same pattern repeats night after night, viewers can't help but speculate that something deeper is at play. Then there's the idea that it's purely incompetence on the part of the referees. Officiating any professional sport is an enormous challenge, especially when it involves policing the physicality of top-tier athletes. Mistakes happen. Bad calls or no calls are part of the game. But in Clark's case, the errors seem more frequent and more damaging. They appear in moments that can swing momentum or even decide the outcome of closely contested matchups. Former WNBA players have weighed in, cautioning that the officiating conversation is nothing new. They argue that fans simply notice it more because Caitlin Clark's name is attached. Others say the league has been inconsistent for years, but Clark's star power magnifies the inconsistencies. Still, none of this explains away the sheer volume of questionable calls stacked against her. Through it all, Caitlin Clark has displayed an impressive level of mental toughness. Each time she ends up on the floor from a collision or gets slapped with a surprising technical, she bounces back with the same intensity, and often channels that frustration into even more explosive scoring sprees. What does that say about her mindset? For one, she's clearly not looking for an easy path. She's spoken about wanting to earn respect the hard way and not rely on reputation alone. But at the same time, it's evident that these officiating issues test her patience. There have been flashes of frustration on the court, a brief glare at a ref, a clenched jaw, a quiet word to a coach. Yet she rarely lets the tension escalate into something that harms her or her team's performance. In a way, the adversity might be fueling her growth. In college, Clark often dominated at will, racking up triple-doubles and outscoring entire teams. The WNBA is a different beast, and if anything, the officiating controversies have forced her to adapt fast. She's had to get smarter about drawing, contact, and craftier about expressing her emotions. Instead of complaining, she's focusing on letting her game speak. For fans who love an underdog story, this is a thrilling evolution of a star determined to shine regardless of obstacles. Meanwhile, the WNBA has kept notably quiet on the issue. Press releases about refereeing sometimes address hot topics, but Clark's situation has barely been mentioned. Fans are starting to question if the league's silence indirectly condones the way she's being officiated. If the WNBA is serious about marketing Caitlin Clark as a future face of the league, ignoring the controversies only sparks more ire and speculation. League officials typically say they review game footage and hold referees accountable behind the scenes. But in an era where fans demand transparency, secret fines or internal memos don't cut it. The more the WNBA keeps a lid on these officiating questions, the more fans assume there's a cover-up, or at the very least, an unwillingness to confront the problem publicly. That's not a good look for a league seeking to expand its viewership and capitalize on the hype of new superstars. If fans believe the officiating is rigged or incompetent, trust erodes, and the product itself suffers. While controversies can drive clicks and conversations, they also risk overshadowing the actual basketball being played. Some fans argue that established superstars, think Diana Taurasi or Brianna Stewart, would never endure the same level of questionable officiating. There's a long-standing perception in professional sports that superstars receive more favorable calls, whether deserved or not. If that's the reality, then Clark's experiences so far break tradition. She's got the star power, but not the star calls. One theory is that officials hesitate to give Clark superstar treatment because she's so new, despite her fame. Another angle, certain referees might resent the media frenzy around her and unconsciously or consciously hold her to a different standard. It's impossible to prove bias for certain, but the results on the court speak volumes. Seasoned players have weighed in with subtle hints, praising Clark's talent while also acknowledging that officiating is a league-wide concern. Privately, rumors swirl that some veterans want the referees to keep Clark humble. Whether it's just locker room gossip or a real stance shared by influential players, it adds another layer of intrigue to the story. Officiating controversies often overshadow another reality. Transitioning from college dominance to the pro grind is no small task. Clark's scoring averages might still be impressive, but her shooting percentages fluctuate. Defenses in the WNBA are faster, stronger, and far more sophisticated. Throw questionable officiating on top of that, and you have a recipe for mental and physical fatigue. Yet, Clark's struggles aren't limited to refereeing. She's had to learn new systems, develop chemistry with teammates, and adjust to the relentless travel schedule. At Iowa, she had a system built to showcase her unique skill set. In the WNBA, she must share the spotlight with other elite players. The path to stardom is never smooth, especially when the expectations are sky high. All these factors contribute to the pressure mounting on Clark. She's the face of every highlight reel, the player fans flock to see, and the name constantly trending on social media. Every game is a referendum on her status as basketball's next big thing. One off night and critics jump in. She's overrated. One more questionable call and the narrative flips too. The league is against her. Balancing these extremes is part of her growth, and it's a testament to her resilience that she's still shining. So, is Caitlin Clark actually being targeted by WNBA officials, or is this just the standard tough love every rookie faces? The truth might lie somewhere in between. Yes, rookies often struggle to get favorable calls, especially rookies arriving with mountains of hype. But the sheer number of controversial moments surrounding Clark seems unusual, even by rookie standards. It's hard to watch her take elbow after elbow or see her whistled for soft infractions, while other players skate by unpunished, and not sense a pattern. Whether it's intentional or accidental, the end result is the same: questionable officiating that puts her at a disadvantage and raises concerns about player safety. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark's personal journey. This is a reflection on the WNBA itself. How the league handles its rising superstars speaks volumes about its priorities and long-term vision. Will the WNBA adapt its officiating standards to better protect players? Or will controversies continue, overshadowing the game? And if these issues persist, what does that mean for future phenoms who follow in Clark's footsteps? As fans, we're left with more questions than answers. Each game brings a new incident that sets social media ablaze, further dividing those who see a conspiracy from those who see rookie growing pains. The only certainty is that as Clark continues to elevate her play, the spotlight on officiating will intensify. In the end, we have a complex puzzle, a generational talent caught in the crosshairs of physical, fast-paced professional basketball, and an officiating system that might not be keeping pace with her meteoric rise. Critics scream bias, defenders preach patience, and Clark herself soldiers on, determined to let her performance do the talking. So, where do you stand? Do you see a league failing to protect its burgeoning superstar? Or is this precisely what happens when you're the new kid on the block with a giant target on your back? Sound off in the comments, let us know your take, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. This story isn't going away anytime soon, and if these first few months are any indication, Caitlin Clark's career will be just as dramatic and captivating off the court as it is on it. And if you thought this was intense, just wait until you hear about the explosive locker room rumors that surfaced after her latest matchup. Click on the next video for more behind-the-scenes drama, and keep your eyes on Caitlin Clark, because the WNBA spotlight only seems to get brighter from here.
Stays here with Indiana. Clark, a deep one. You bet!